Hello, Ravens fans, and welcome to another season preview. I'm Aaron Schneider, the Sports Information Director at Anderson University, and joining us for our fall tennis preview is Anderson head tennis coach Matt Moore. How are you doing today?
Great, Aaron. How are you?
Good. So first, let's dive into things. We can kind of we can start with the men, talk about the women with each question. So first, what are your goals slash expectations for this fall?
So for this fall, our players have already started to establish their goals. I mean, we do like we do every year. We focus on competitive outcomes, but we recognize sport is more than just competition. So we think about the way in which sport can bring us together, closer to God, help us to establish friendships, support our physical health and our mental health. From a competitive standpoint, I mean, as you know, we're coming off of two exceptional seasons for both our men's and our women's programs. So looking to build off of that momentum and to continue making the strides that we need to now bring home conference championships and to get a shot at those NCAA tournaments.
Okay, so gonna recap and to kind of talk about with each season from last year, and then going in, how it's going to translate into the fall. Men's tennis having their best season they've ever had, both setting a team's wins record, breaking the singles wins record. You come off of having an HCAC Coach of the Year season on the men's end. How do you look to carry that into the men's non-championship season?
Yeah, so I think we're in a great spot for this fall. We've got 4 really strong recruits that are coming in, a couple that I think have an opportunity to have an immediate impact on the lineup. We lost Tucker Bradley to transfer to University of Louisville, which completely understand it's a great academic fit for him. So certainly there's some spots to be filled at the top 6 of our positions, but confident that we've got the players to do that. We also have Sam Songer back after spending the spring semester abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam obviously is one of those players that instantly has an impact within a lineup. So I think we're picking up where we left off. I think a lot of it will be trying to figure out some of those new doubles combinations, seeing individuals playing maybe in 1 or 2 different spots within the lineup, and that'll help us to continue to close the gap on the Hanovers and the Rose Holmans come conference time.
And then now we look at our women's tennis season. When you have 6 in your starting lineup and 5 of them end up being first team all conference, you're doing something right. So you get and then couple that with the fact that you finishing second in the conference, making another appearance in the conference championship. How do you look to carry that with the women?
So our women played phenomenal last year. I mean, we obviously lose our one singles player in Anna Creech graduating, but glad to see that she's got a great position lined up to be a nurse in Georgia, so we couldn't be more proud of her. But we've got 8 incoming first-year players, which is still a hard number for me to conceptualize. 8 incoming first-year players. We've got several of them that pose instant threats to our opponents in the top 6 of the lineup, and players that I think will have an immediate impact, and then a lot of players that have got great developmental potential. So I look at some of the players that might not see the lineup as being obviously the future of what we have, and if I look at the growth that I've seen over the players that I've had in my 2 years here from where they started to where they're at now, if we can see that same level of growth, the future is going to be really bright for us.
Okay, and then I want to touch, get the opportunity to touch on some of the men's roster. Then we'll go back to the women. First, what do you see out of your veteran turners? This is kind of a big year in terms of veteran leadership for the men. You've got people like Corey Evans and Colton Stevens, Sam Songer. You mentioned tell about how having a team like that for this year is going to be.
Yeah, so we've got 6 graduating seniors this upcoming academic year. All 6 of them certainly have an opportunity to play in the lineup on any given match. So I mean, this is a group that has really helped us turn the strides from where Anderson men's tennis was to where it is that we would like to be able to get. They've embraced the philosophy and the mentality that we set forth as a coaching staff, and they've bought into it fully. I look for that leadership not only to continue on the court, but to also continue in the mentorship of the sophomores and the new incoming players that we have, and for that to be a seamless transition for us.
And then let's talk about the men's incoming players. You know, there's players that have quite a bit of pedigree. We are able to tap into the international pool this year. Tell us a little bit about the freshman class and what you're excited to see.
Yeah, so we've got 4 incoming freshmen. Sarvar is our international player joining us from Uzbekistan. So one thing that I looked at when I took over the program a couple years ago is how can we become more competitive in the Division III market, recruiting internationally, knowing that international tennis players certainly bring a wealth of experience, knowledge, and instant game readiness to any program. So I look for Sarvar to be able to come in and do that. Caden played at North Central, which, as you know, here in Indianapolis area is a perennial powerhouse when it comes to tennis. And then Kenny from South Bend, St. Joe, and then Jake Davenport's joining us from just down the road in Frankton, show great potential for growth. So I think there's a lot of untapped potential that exists there, and given the right regimen of coaching and training, they certainly can make big strides this year.
So now going back to our women's as they compete into their championship season, we've got a really strong returning core of the 5 we do. First, going into kind of our first for our all conference players like Madeline Brown, Megan Long, and Jenna. Good.
I
was worried. Okay, yeah, Jenna. So what do you expect from those 3?
So I think they'll continue to do what they've done since I've been at Anderson, and that is to lead by example, to be fierce competitors, but to also approach the sport of tennis the way in which it's meant to be, and that is with a sense of spirituality and a sense of fun to it. So, at the end of the day, we're fortunate to get to go outside and to play on courts and to be out in the sun and to travel as a team and to get to have those lifelong memories that will fuel us for generations to come. Megan certainly is going to have big shoes to fill with Anna Creech leaving. I think Megan right now would be a front runner for that one singles position. So certainly that's a big jump going from where she started her first year to last year to that position. But we've got some incoming or current players, I guess now no longer incoming since they're on campus, but first year players such as Ella France, Sydney Adams that I could see also stepping in right away and having an impact for us.
Okay, and then I wanted to talk about our other 2 returners, Morgan O'Connor-Trio, Claire Hannaford, who've been around with the program for a while, kind of helped provide some of that depth to keep us in that upper echelon of the HVAC. What do you see out of them for this year?
There are unsung heroes. We talk about this all the time, that on a tennis court, oftentimes 1-2 singles players, 1 doubles players have a tendency to get all the attention, but in reality, the 4, 5, and 6 singles positions and the 3 doubles position are just as valuable as the others. They each count as a point for the team, and knowing that you've got strong anchors and players like Morgan and Claire that can come in and can play those positions with consistent tennis, being opportunistic when it arrives is a really comforting feeling as a coach. And I will say that depth is one thing that I think has allowed for us to have success over the last couple of years in both programs, is we don't have a significant drop-off, which allows for us to be competitive at every single position on the court.
Mm-hmm. And then going into our freshman class, we're bringing in 8 of them, which is that's a solid class in tennis. And then when you've got some people who've made some impact. Ella France with a great high school pedigree. And then tell us a little bit about what you're excited about for the freshman class.
I like the diversity that they bring as players, so they each have a uniqueness about their game, which will be really advantageous for us as we look at matchups throughout the conference and the non-conference slate that we play. I've got confidence that all 8 of them, if put into a position to be in the lineup, will go out to compete hard in the few days that I've been able to spend with them as coach on the court, I've been beyond impressed just with their mentality, their desire to get physically stronger, and just the ease in which they've integrated into our team and onto Anderson's campus. I think the sky's really bright for us when you think about women's tennis.
Okay, and then before we get into the, our regular season, we've actually got the women have an exhibition match up in Chicago against Roosevelt University. What are you looking to see out of that match?
Honestly, that match to me is not as important as I think the team bonding and the leadership opportunities that we get to make a trip like that. We're fortunate to have donors that graciously gave us the funds to be able to make this trip. Our players are really looking forward to a weekend away from campus to be able to grow closer in the relationships with each other. And, the tennis is certainly a benefit of it and gives us a great look at some of our players early on in the season. But for me, that trip is really about us establishing what we feel our team identity should be and growing closer together, knowing that we have so many new players to our program.
Okay, and then we jump into the regular season. We have both teams have two home matches that will be on Wednesday, September 7th. Both teams host Illinois College and Lourdes University in a triangular. Tell us what you're looking to see out of that.
This is great matches for us to kind of mess around with the lineup a little bit, get some individuals, some different looks on where they could play. Those are both strong programs, but programs that I think if we go out and we execute, we'll have great match success against. So I'm excited just to see how some of our incoming players enter into the college playing framework. Obviously college, there's always going to be a little bit of nerves when you play in that first match, so trying to provide them some opportunities to feel some instant success and to get a little bit of momentum going is really important for us.
Okay, so before we get into the rest of the season, I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about your Anderson ProAm tournament that you're hosting on Saturday, September 24th. Tell us a little bit about that. It was a successful event last year, and we're hosting it for the second time this year.
Yeah, so it's one that I've done just about everywhere that I've coached at as a fundraising opportunity for the program. So we allow our players to play with members of the community, family members that are willing to make donations, friends that are willing to make donations, and a round robin, really for fun, doubles tournament. So we've got some silent auction items that we bring out there, light snacks and refreshment. It's really just a great opportunity for friends and family and community members around the area to come together to support our tennis program and to raise some funds for us to do some really cool things.
And then as we tap into the conference season, is there every match is important obviously, but is there any that stick out?
So the first one, we have against Earlham. Earlham's obviously returning back to HCAC tennis after a short little absence. So it'll be interesting to see what we get from them. That's a team that I don't think anybody really has a lot of information and insight on. So that'll be an interesting one just to see how that plays out. Certainly, when we think about the top tier program from a women's side, Transylvania has been a long-standing conference champion. I think we're right there on their heels. I think our incoming or current recruitment class combined with the players that we have returning will give us a great opportunity to bring home a conference championship this year, which is something that's been elusive to our women's tennis program for quite some time, I think.
Okay, and then finally, with each team, what is each team going to need to do to be successful?
Well, it starts with having fun. So, I'd say that all the time to our players. That tennis is meant to be fun, just like any other sport at Anderson is meant to be fun. It's an opportunity and an honor and a privilege to get to go out and to put on a raven on your outfit and to go out and to represent a school. And certainly we want players that are going to live up to the ideals that the university has established and the faith-based orientation that we have to it. For us, and I think you've heard me say this before, winning is a byproduct of doing the right thing. So practicing hard, taking good care of our bodies, mentally preparing for matches, trusting in our coaches, trusting in ourselves. Those types of things allow for you to be successful. So, sure, we've got winning records, but it takes a lot to be able to say that you have a winning record. And our players understand the little things that go in to making yourselves championship contenders, and they buy into that. And I've got faith that they're going to continue to support that philosophy.
All right. Coach Moore, thank you for tuning. Ravens fans, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow along with any more season previews, any more content you may be putting out on YouTube. Of course, follow along with your Ravens throughout the season. We have a series of home openers on Wednesday, September 7th. So be sure to check that out. Our first match is at noon. We have a couple of matches at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. as well on that day. Coach Moore, thank you for joining us, and
Thank
good
you
luck
very
for the
much.
rest of the year.
Thanks.